All right, let's talk about the IRS. So we've been following this story for you over the last week, and the IRS, as part of this new mission from Democrats, as part of the reconciliation package, is an opportunity for the IRS to look at bank account transactions that are $600 or higher, right? And basically make it the onus will be on you to explain what these transactions are. And there are experts like Tom Wheelwright and others who have said that this is going to lead to a profound number of audits. It's going to adversely affect lower income, lower middle class Americans at these small transaction levels, when the onus really should be on those billionaire tax cheats who are offshoring money and not paying their tax bills, right? So legitimate questions as to, is this the IRS snooping on us? Are they digging through our bank accounts here? Are they actually looking at, every transaction? Could this be used for political purposes?
And the company line for the Democratic Party is like, don't worry about it. We're not going to do that. We just kind of want to see, but we trust you, but we won't really look too deeply, but we want the ability to. I mean, this is this is the line that I tell my kids, like, I want the right to read your texts, but I won't do it all that often. But I look every now and again. It's my right. I paid that phone bill, right?
But you're a parent, and we have a 10-year-old.
Right, and this is not how the relationship I want with the government. That they can look. They reserve the right to. This USA Today article this morning, where they're saying, no, we're calling these reports of them looking into your bank account, what do they call it? Mildly false or mostly false.
I love when the mainstream media does their fact checking. Right. Oh, USA Today, which is a rag, which is just total garbage, run by Gannett newspapers. I mean, think about the political motivation from that billionaire company, right? So they can say, "Oh, we're going to fact check this for you. We're going to do that. We're going to do the hard work and fact check this." Let me pull that article up here.
I mean, that's just laughable, because they're saying Congress has to give banks and Congress has to give the IRS the power to do this. So they're not actually just the IRS is gonna start to look into your bank accounts. So mostly that's false. You don't have to worry. I call foul on that, because I think we all do have to worry. The language and the way that it's written is to give the Treasury this power. What we're trying to say is we think that is inappropriate, and we think it's still up to us to contact our member of Congress. That didn't come out easy.
You looked at me. I was like, I was going to try to help you. I literally had no idea what word you were
contact Congress in order to say, I don't think that's
word?
Appropriate.
I have no words.
Words.
What word?
It's right there.
Contact. I mean, but look at this piece from the USA Today. It's ridiculous, right? And so we're going to fact check this. We're the USA Today Fact Checks Department by LLE. Who the hell's that? All right. A tax proposal by the Biden administration has led social media users to question whether the government is overstepping on Americans' financial privacy. First, let's just make this diminutive here. It's just social media users.
Right, and then to say InfoWars is saying this. Well,
right,
okay.
Alex Jones from InfoWars. That's where this started from.
But cooler heads are saying the same thing. So to sensationalize this as somebody who's just like, he's just a hothead. He's saying these things. But really, Congress has to give them the power. Congress has given the power of a lot of more nefarious things than this.
Yeah, Patriot Act.
Yeah. And so, don't worry. Congress will protect us. And even in its implementation, it is fine.
Yeah, it's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. So Congressman Ro Khanna was on Maria Bartiromo's show, on the Sunday Future show. And good for Maria. I haven't defended her in a long time, right? I've mocked her quite a bit lately, but good for her for asking the tough questions of Ro Khanna about this IRS legislation or this proposal from Democrats. Take a listen.
It is an incredible invasion of privacy. It allows basically it requires banks to forward information, account transactions over the course of a year that's as little as $600. They talked about raising it to $10,000, which is of little consequence. It's still be incredibly intrusive. And it's a massive search without a search warrant.
And that was the former president of the Kansas City Federal Reserve, Tom Honig. I am back with Congressman Ro Khanna. He chairs the House Oversight Subcommittee on the Environment. And Congressman, you just heard what Mr. Honig said. Is this bank surveillance still in this spending bill?
Maria, let me just put some facts out there. First of all, the bill does not in any way surveil individual transactions. There is no oversight of individual transactions. All it does is ask the banks to give the total amount that was deposited and the total amount that was spent. And the reason is because there are a lot of businesses in this country that aren't paying the taxes that you and I pay. So if the banks have to give a statement on interest, why can't they give the total net outflows and net inflows so people pay their tax?
Oh, so it's only business accounts then?
Well, you say it's not transactions, but
Right.
you just said it's the total deposit and what people are taking out and people are taking in. I mean, $600 or even $10,000 captures most Americans.
It would be over $10,000, but it's not going to look at, okay, here's what you spent it on, and here was the deposit. It's just going to say, did you make money in the year? And if you made money, pay your tax. Just like banks tell you if you made interest, you have to pay your tax, just like you get a W-2. The idea is just that businesses should pay their tax. And I don't think this is going to surveil or snoop into people's privacy in any way, because banks won't have the ability to go after the individual transactions.
But it is surveillance because the banks have to report that. But look, I don't want to get into the weeds without asking you about your upcoming hearing.
So, okay, let's just throw this out there, right? So they'll be able to look at this transaction, but are they going to like black out where you went to Home Depot and you won't see what that was? You'll just see a number, and
Right.
they're gonna just separate that. They're gonna redact that information.
Right.
It's
Or how
ridiculous.
will you know that, for instance, you're not getting paid from Home Depot or a refund from Home Depot?
Right.
Right.
It's absurd. And so I spoke to a friend of mine who is a big data expert, and he sets up for massive corporations. I mean, and he's at the top. Like, if you want to hire somebody to do this work, like set up for the IRS, he's the person you hire, right? He was telling me that this is literally mountains of data that they are no way prepared to handle. And it would be a monumental expense for them to even set up this infrastructure properly. He says they're nowhere near being able to handle that. Go ahead, David. Sorry.
Well, no, it's fine. I was going to say, like, if that his argument falls apart, because if this was the case, then all they would track would be deposits, right? Why would they have to do transactions? If you're trying to make it so that people are paying their fair share and it's about income, then why wouldn't it only be deposits? And the thing is, like, they can say till they're blue in the face that this isn't going to lead to anything. But what I see happening is just what you said. These other little banks are going to be forced to try to come up with this system. They're not going to be able to afford it. They're going to go out of business. And guess what? That infrastructure that they'll build for these big banks will have all the control then, and they will know all of our information, because they'll make those so that those big banks, like, what will it be? 5 banks that will have the technology to do that?
Yeah.
So they'll only have to track from 5 banks, not millions of banks like we're thinking, oh, they'll never be able to handle all that data. Well, you narrow it down to 5 banks. Yeah, they will.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. They're not going to be able to handle it. I mean, we see already how difficult it is for them to get your tax refunds back on time. Like, I mean, they want you to send them money as quickly as possible. But then the IRS, when all of these people in our show were telling us, I've been waiting 3 months and I still haven't gotten my tax refund. I'd be curious to know how many people watching right now in our chat are still waiting on something from the IRS.
We're one of them, actually.
Are we?
Well, so recently we filed a September extension.
Mm-hmm.
Then we sent our payment in the mail on September 15th. And I had September 14th. I had the post office receipt. And I had proof that, the dated check, I had it scanned, everything. The IRS, and actually this was a state government, they cashed our check on the 30th, and they postmarked a letter on the 30th of September saying, you didn't pay your taxes, you filed a return for this amount, but we didn't receive payment, so we're penalizing you $6,000 for non-payment. On the same day they cashed the check, they also mailed the letter. So it was like the right hand didn't know what the left hand is doing. I was like, okay, here's a screenshot of you cashing that check. Here is also proof of mailing. Here's the scan of the check and the post office receipt with the date. So it was all sent on time, and you already cashed it. So you can take this letter and wipe your butt with it. and so they said you can, correspond about this notice of a penalty either by fax, by email, or by a letter. So I sent it by email. I also sent it by fax, and then I got a notice saying this fax number is not receiving faxes. And so I also sent it in the snail mail. So it's so interesting when like the government's own interests are involved. Letter comes out 15 days later.
Yeah.
On the same day they cash the check.
Yeah, the exact same day.
But
Man, they got that letter
want to talk to me about it. But they were very efficient getting me the letter.
And they're using fax machines. I mean, this is...
Right. It's just,
Well,
it was so frustrating.
And just one other thing about it is like this whole thing is being proposed. Like the Democrats are like, no, this is so that we can tax the wealthy. But the thing is, like, if it was to tax the wealthy, then track deposits over $1 million because that's what they're hiding. They're not, these people aren't hiding $600 deposits. These rich people, that's like, that's pocket change to them. They're hiding millions of dollars. So if you started it at $1 million, you're gonna take all of the people that don't need to be in this big blanket and take them out of it, and then you would be focused on what you say you're trying to do, which is tax the rich.
Right. Exactly right. And, there are a lot of contractors there is a lot of unreported income, right? But this is not the way to do it, because then if you are a plumber who then is paid in cash in $200, $300 increments, you can just not bank it, right? It's going to contribute to the underbanked I don't want to call it a crisis, but it's a problem, right?
Yeah.
People who are underbanked.
Or unbanked. They don't have a bank at all.
And those people are already sort of making a calculation that I would like to keep more of my take-home pay and not pay taxes on it. And that in and of itself is dangerous because it lowers what they'll get in their retirement. But these people they don't understand that, right? And so if you really wanted to take these like mom and pop plumbers and say, we would really like you to pay taxes on that income and let me show you why, right? Then there would be some kind of incentive for them, some kind of like educational reach out, something like that. That's not what they're doing.
No, and also think about like the service industry, right? I mean, think about, the servers that get paid, in tips.
Yes.
Right? Think about that. And then they go and they buy something, there's a $600 transaction, and then the IRS is like, that's interesting. Where did you get this money from? Or, this isn't fully reported. And it goes after those people who are already marginalized, who make no money to begin with.
Right.
And it's also an industry that is incredibly suffering right now, right? The service industry, the hotel sector. And instead of going after the people that are actually hiding money and actually are supposed to be paying their taxes but don't, in the billionaires, millionaires.
Well, and that's the thing, like, think about that. Like, let's say a plumber does take cash. Let's say he goes and he does the job, and then he tells the lady that he's doing the job, he's like, that's $750, but I only take cash. She gives him $750. Under this new system, the bank's going to be like, why did you withdraw $750? Where did that go? Where did that cash go? I paid my plumber. Okay, what's your plumber's name? And it's like, you know what I mean? Like, these people that are doing $750 cash jobs or whatever, they're just like anybody else. Like, if they are trying to take advantage of a system, it's because they're struggling. Like, these aren't people that are, wealthy people in most cases. These are people that are I know people, I'm not going to say but I know people that take cash only for certain service jobs that they do because they can't afford it if the taxes are taken out. They can't even live if the taxes are taken out.
Right. I mean, we've gone to stores, in Philadelphia and other places, or even in New Jersey where we lived, where it was like, an Italian restaurant or whatever. It was like cash only, only, or these small places that, they operate because they don't want to have to pay the 2% transaction fees to Visa and MasterCard and these other things. Otherwise, it'll crush them. So I don't know. Yeah, this is where, anyway, Democrats are defending this. So just, mark your calendar by this. We're going to see in the next few weeks as all of these infrastructure pieces come together, what will make it in and what will make it out. So,
and what chance do we actually have when you have one of the lead progressives, Ro Khanna, talking like, oh no, it's no big deal.
So big
deal.
Those
are the people that are supposed to be on our side. Those are the people's party, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the progressives that are, now they're on
Well,
the side of the IRS and the banks.
What can we do? We can make our voice heard. We can contact Congress
Yeah.
and let them know we don't stand for this.
Thanks for subscribing to the channel. You can also become a channel member by going to morninginvest.com/join, where you can stick it to the mainstream media and support independent journalism. We're able to bring you the stories that you won't see on any of the major billionaire-backed networks. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time, everyone.